Hello everybody, I'm Krishna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Do you feel that you have reached the limit of your photographic capabilities? Have you lost the joy of taking photographs and freezing that moment which otherwise would be lost forever? Or have you lost interest in photography? If so, probably adding a constraint to your photography could help you bring back your creativity. Continue watching this video to know more. Research has shown that we need boundaries to kindle creativity. Now, for a painter, the boundaries or constraints could be the canvas, the brush, the paint. Now, limiting any of all of these would force the painter to rethink on how he or she wants to portray the painting. In the tech world, the constraints could be budget, timelines, having to work with legacy technology, having limited manpower, etc. Now, these constraints would drive the project team to identify creative solutions in order to solve the problem. Constraints pushes us out of our comfort zone and our survival instinct kicks in. So we turn off the autopilot and then we start looking at how can we solve the situation with the limited constraint and boundaries that we have. Now, in photography, what could be the constraints that could drive the creativity? One of the constraints that you can use in photography is to use a prime lens. For example, I use this Fuji X100V prime lens, which is a 35mm equivalent. Now, because I use this prime lens and I do not have a zoom, when I compose a shot, I have to decide how best should I place the camera so that I get the best angle. If I had a zoom, I probably would zoom in or zoom out, which is not possible here. So I need to ensure how interestingly I can compose the subject with the limited 35mm focal length that I have. Now, in case I had a zoom lens instead of a prime lens, I may have zoomed in or zoomed out and taken the picture of the subject in the exact same composition which I would have been comfortable with all the while. Whereas with the prime lens, I am pushed out of my comfort zone to recompose the shot to make the subject as interesting as possible. Another constraint that you can add to your photography is to shoot only in black and white. Black and white photography is very different from color. In black and white, there is no distraction of color, and your whole shot is based on your composition, the texture, and the bright part of the image and the dark part of the image. When you start shooting in black and white, you will need to start thinking a lot more on where the light is coming, which part of the subject you want to expose to the light, and which part of the subject that you want to completely black out. The other constraint, which probably would be applicable to most of the people watching this video, is to just use your smartphone to take pictures. Because you are going to be limited by the capabilities of what your smartphone can do, from the focal length to the kind of light that you need, those constraints would make you rethink on how to recompose your shots. For example, when I went to Andamans for diving, all my photographs was using my smartphone. I realized that the way that I compose and recompose the shots was very different from how I used to use a camera. In fact, even the subjects changed. The way I took the landscape was different. So, smartphone is a device which most of us have, and probably you should start with just using your smartphone. Another constraint that you can add to your photography is just shooting one type of subject. For example, the place that I live has a lot of street dogs. So I have gone around shooting these dogs in different angles, in different poses, and in different lights. Now, because you don't have control on these subjects and on the other elements of nature, you really are pushed towards finding new compositions to make the photo interesting. Another constraint that you can add to your photography is only shooting in the night. The night photography throws you different challenges. For example, you're not going to have a lot of light, and especially if you're doing street photography, you would be limited by the lights that you get on the road, from the vendor. So you're limited by the possibility and control, and you need to decide how you're going to frame the subject, what lights would make the subject interesting, and then take pictures. As you add constraints to your photography, you are rewiring and training your brain to think differently. You can mix and match the constraints. So you can just pick one of the constraints that I told, or you can actually use one or two constraints and then start taking your photography. And I would suggest that you stick to the same constraints for at least for a month, so that your brain gets completely rewired. And once you've completed a month, you can then look at your first set of photographs and those that you're taking towards the end of the month, and you will be able to appreciate the progression that you have made. The constraints will help you appreciate the power of less. Now, you can apply this principle not just in photography but in any other fields. And as the saying goes, practice makes the person perfect. I would encourage you to keep shooting. So if you're planning to do it for a month, then I would encourage you to at least go out with your camera and shoot at least 2 to 3 times in a week. If you like my style of photography, then I have published a photo book called The Other Side of Kadugodi. I will leave a link to the Amazon Kindle version in the description. Now, if you want a hard copy, you can reach out to me and I will try to courier it to you. You can also follow me on Instagram, all the details of which is available in the description. Now, if you like this video, please share this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. Thank you very much for watching.